English language paper 2. I'm going to go through a whole paper and tell you how to do all the questions. I've chosen a paper that a lot of people won't have done. You can find this easily online. So it could be something fresh to have a go at. Right, so majority of people have 1 hour 45 minutes. Some people might have extra time, but whichever of those you have, it is the wise option to start with the most significant question with the most marks. The biggest task, and that is question 5. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Right. So this is half your marks, 40 marks, 40% of which is for your spag and 60% is for the content. But it is smart to do this. One of the main things, if not the main thing, which means people don't pass GCSE English, is because they don't finish, not because they can't do it. So timing is crucial. Now, most people will have 1 hour 45 minutes. You're looking at about 40 minutes, maybe 45 for this question. So what you've got to do when you start the exam, probably at 9 o'clock, it is 9 o'clock for June 2024, write down the time you need to stop that question by, which is 9:40. You need to be winding it up, coming to an end there, give or take a few minutes. So timing is really crucial. Okay, so how do we do this question? So this is relatively easy, I would say, and there's something you can definitely prepare for, though a lot of students find it difficult to sort of express their opinion and expand their opinion. The reality is you're going to comment on a statement in one of several forms, and this form is an article. And all you are really doing is giving your opinion in an intelligent way and in a structured way on the statement. So the first thing to do is to plan it. A very short plan. And how we plan is as follows. You look at the statement and you break it into bits that you can comment on. So for this one, the first bit, I guess, would be about people protesting about the cruelty of keeping animals in captivity. So that's our first bit. Second bit, they seem happy enough to eat meat. Third bit, keep pets. Fourth bit, visit zoos. And then fifth, animals should be free. Now, there's always one bit that you really must cover, and in this case, it's that bit at the end, and it normally is at the end. So you can comment on any of these bits, but there is something that you do need to comment on, and that's normally at the end, and that's this bit. So a short plan. Right. I'm going to do my plan up here, and it is as simple as this. Introduction, conclusion, and then in the middle, so we'll just call it M for middle, we'll have 3 paragraphs. Okay, so this one here, I'm going to specifically try to do counter arguments. So the opposite point of view to what I have presented. In middle paragraph 1, well, okay, I'm going to talk about point 1, protests. And I'm going to talk about pets. Then middle paragraph 2, I'm going to talk about zoos. And I'm going to talk about the main thing, animals should be free. Okay. Now, in my introduction, I'm just going to do a standard introduction. I probably will mention the main bits in the introduction and conclusion. Okay, so I've got a structure. The whole point is this flows. So I'm going to tell the readers what I'm going to discuss. Then I'm going to talk about it, expand, counter arguments, and then I'm going to reach a clear conclusion showing why I have reached the view that I stated at the start and that I came to at the end. So it kind of flows. Right. So how do we start it? The format of these pieces, you only get awarded a tiny amount of marks for doing it in the right format. And how to do that format is very minimal. So for an article, you're just looking for a title. If you had a speech, you would just ensure that you use the opening and some parts of the piece to make it clear that the person writing this or the person saying it is saying it. So, hi, it's lovely to be here and to speak to you about animals today, etc. If it's a letter, probably the one which needs the most, but still very minimal format changes. So for a letter, you need to put dear sir or madam, and then yours faithfully at the end, or dear Mrs. Jones, and then yours sincerely. So just the salutation, the opening, and the ending. Blog straight into paragraphs. So for all of these, you just do paragraphs, and then there'll be something small just to change the format to show you're doing it in the right format. So we do a title for an article, speech, you go straight into paragraphs, but you make it clear you are speaking to people. And then the letter, you need the opening and the ending. Blog, straight into paragraphs, perhaps with your name at the top. I would suggest name at the top for a blog like Facebook or something like that. Okay, so I'm just going to have a basic title for this. Let's go for Animals Deserve Freedom. Okay. Right, relatively minor, but we've got a title. Now to the actual important stuff. So we're going to do our introduction. Right, now, other than writing intelligently and writing about the statement, doing language features in this piece is going to get you lots of marks. And you can pre-prepare a lot of phrases. So that is the smart thing to do, to pre-prepare phrases for the introduction, for parts of the middle paragraphs, and for parts of the conclusion. These are the language features I'm going to try and get in. You might not be able to do as many as this, but you might be able to do half as many, and that's going to get you extra marks. The length of the piece we're looking for here is 2 pages maximum. So don't worry about the length. The length is not important as a priority, in as much as it doesn't have to be hugely long. What you're looking for is good quality. So we'll start with the introduction. Okay, I'm going to put a question. So this is about animal rights. Do you think animal rights are a big issue? Do you think animals deserve freedom? A couple of rhetorical questions. Right, I'm going to answer those questions. Answer the first question. I think they are. Animal rights. I think they do. Animals deserve freedom. So now I'm going to talk about our overall opinion just before we lead into the main part of the writing. I agree that animals should be valued and treated well. I think they deserve to be free, and I will discuss with clear arguments why this is the case. Okay, there's different ways of putting it, but something like that. So we've got our introduction. Okay, we've got a nice rhetorical question. Just put on the side here. So we've got a rhetorical question, two rhetorical questions, a short sentence, and a bit of repetition. Short sentence, repetition. So we've got a few language features in already, just in that section there. Okay, and now this is nice English, this section there. So now we've done our introduction, we've told the reader what we're going to say, and we've done some nice language features. Right, on to the middle paragraph. Now I'm not going to write this whole thing out, but I'll just give you a flavour of what I might put in the next paragraph. So discourse markers are an easy win. So start with firstly or secondly or additionally, get your comma afterwards, and maybe I'll talk about statistics here. Okay, so a recent report said 30% of adults believe animals should be free or whatever. Now, strictly speaking, perhaps I should have written that out in words. I suppose that's the case. But basically what we've got here is we've got a nice discourse marker, extra marks, we've got statistics, and we've got alliteration in the middle as well. So we've got discourse marker, got statistics, and we've got alliteration there. Okay, so you could carry on that. All you need to do there is talk about your opinion in an intelligent way and explain it. Okay, so that's that one. It's wise to pre-prepare sentence starters for new paragraphs for this question. Okay, so maybe the next paragraph after I've put my opinion there. So I do a nice chunky paragraph, and probably the next paragraph we could put secondly. Let's try and get another language feature. I have a super suggestion. I have a super suggestion. Why don't we all treat animals as if they are important and have feelings? You can write what you want, but I've pre-prepared that sentence with a nice discourse marker with some alliteration. So more marks for me. Okay, let's keep going. So we've done our introduction, middle paragraph 1, middle paragraph 2. obviously down here, you would write your own opinion after you've done that sentence starter. So next, we mentioned counter arguments. So what do people say who think the opposite of us? So I've pre-prepared a sentence starter there for that paragraph. Let's now evaluate the counter arguments around the issue of animal freedom in this case, but that's an easy pre-prepared sentence starter for that paragraph, and then we write our opinion about it. Okay, so we've done our introduction, 3 middle paragraphs now, having filled all our various opinions in, and we're ready to do our conclusion. So as with other paragraphs, we've got a pre-prepared conclusion. So what's a nice sentence starter for a conclusion? Right, well, it's an easy win to get a load of language features. Rhetorical questions as ever are very easy to get in. So over to our conclusion. What should we say? Yeah. So what do you think? We're talking to the reader, which is a writing technique you'll get marks for. Do you think animals deserve freedom? I do. So a short sentence, which is a language feature. Let's get something else there. I think we should be clear, decisive, and smart. I think we should treat animals very well in captivity and also as pets. We should nourish them, etc. You can write what you want about the issue, but we've got a nice rule of 3 there. Maybe I do another sentence. Having looked at a number of issues around this topic, I would say whatever. I would say animals should be free. Obviously, this is a different topic, but the point is we have got loads of nice language features in there that we pre-prepared and we knew we were going to put in before the exam. So in our conclusion, we've got a nice rhetorical question, 2 rhetorical questions, got a short sentence, we've got rule of 3, and we've got some nice English. So you can see that is a kind of writing frame, a structure where you've got to put your opinion and fill in the rest of the piece. But we've got, didn't mean to miss that page out, never mind. We've got all our language features in there. So we managed to get all these in. Direct address is when you say you're speaking to the reader. So you need a well-crafted piece for this piece of writing. So we've got loads of nice language features in the introduction, which you can pre-prepare all of that. We've got nice discourse marker statistics at the start of the first paragraph, at the middle. Next paragraph in the middle. Got a nice discourse marker, bit of alliteration. And then over we go. The third middle paragraph. Nice English there. Talking to the reader, direct address. And then over to the conclusion. Two nice rhetorical questions. Short sentence. Rule of three. And some nice English there. And obviously, as I'm sure you will discern, you add your opinion on the issue in a kind of writing frame kind of structure. You're going to put your opinion in the gaps and what you actually think about the issue that's going to be in the exam paper in those gaps. So relatively straightforward. Okay, so what mark would you get for this? If you did all those things that I have done, obviously addressing the question you get on the day, if you did all those things with an average number of errors, so all those bits filling in, so there's your first bit, there's your second half, as it were. If you did all those with average English, I mean, you could not get below a 5, and you're very likely to get a 6 or above. You might only be able to fit in a few of these, but even if you do a few, you're going to get some nice marks there. Okay, so question 5 done. Feeling confident. Doing a good job on that one takes an enormous amount of pressure off you, because if you do get a nice grade 5 or 6 there, if you're just aiming for a grade 4, that's going to mean you can potentially do less well in the other questions and still get a grade 4. Okay, so I'm looking at the clock. Wow, it's just near 9:40, so my timekeeping is good. Feeling confident, 50% of the paper's done. Over we go to question 4. Okay, so probably the most difficult question of the papers. The comparison question. So this question is going to ask you to compare something in both the texts. And in this case, the texts are about a story around elephants, as it were. Okay. Now, yours won't be on elephants, it's going to be on something else, but it will always basically ask you about the feelings or attitudes. And I think we can say feelings because it's the same thing, really, as attitudes. It's going to ask you about the feelings on one thing. Okay, so how do we do it? Now, there may be a clue in the statement as to the kind of slant of what you're looking for. Let's say it said compare how the elephants hated being in captivity. Obviously, it's going to be in the text that they did hate it. This one is just quite bland. It's asking us to look for the feelings or attitudes. So what you need to do, having read the statement, is then read the text. And you build that into your time plan. Okay, so 40 minutes, 45 maximum, question 5. Then have a good 5 minutes, take your time, read through the 2 texts. And while you're reading through, since you're doing question 4, you can highlight anything or underline something that is an indication of the writer's feelings, and in this case, their feelings towards the elephant. So just to repeat, you're going to read the text, having read the question, and you're going to highlight or circle or underline anything that is about the feelings relating to the thing you're looking for, the feelings. Okay, so you're looking for probably 3 in each, because you're going to try and do 3 paragraphs to at least. So, okay, maybe it says here, it's talking about killing an elephant. Okay, so I guess he's feeling a bit worried about interacting with an elephant. Just go through the text and circle anything which implies feelings. I'm just going to do one here. Let's have a look. Okay, nice and easy. The elephant looked no more dangerous than a cow. Okay, so his feeling is that it's a harmless animal. He's unafraid, he's quite at peace, unthreatened by the animal. So we'll try and get 3 of those feelings on whatever you're looking for. 3 feelings. We go to the second one. Do the same thing. Different text, take your time. You're looking for 3 things that imply feelings about the thing you're looking for. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, so here the writer says it was strange to say the elephant was perfectly quiet as soon as he's allowed to be free in the gardens. Okay, so he's a bit surprised. He's finding it a bit odd that this animal, which earlier on is described as troublesome and dangerous, he's finding it a bit odd. He's a bit surprised that it was quiet as soon as it was allowed to be free. So the elephant wasn't happy that it was chained up, basically. So what I would do is, when you found your feelings, 3 in that one, write the feeling next to the thing you've underlined. So unthreatened, he's unthreatened and unworried about the elephant. So we're going to get 3 of those on that one, 3 on this one. Okay, so what's this feeling? He's surprised that the elephant was perfectly quiet as soon as it was allowed to be free. Right, so these are just examples, but you'd have your 3, and all you're going to do then is compare pairs of those observations, right? So let's go back to our paper. So in text A, in source A, we should say, right, in source A. Now, you do need to mention the methods used by the writer. So essentially talking about language features there. So we do need to mention language features if we can, and that will get you into a higher grade band. So what language feature have we got here? So it's comparing it to a cow. So I think we'll just extend that to peacefully eating, and that obviously is descriptive language. So in source A, there is descriptive language. Peacefully eating. Do I need to mention the second bit of that quote? No, I think that's okay for that one. Telling us the elephant was not threatening and refer to our feeling because it is about feelings, and the writer was unworried. Being near to it. Okay, so that's source A. Let's compare. So we need a comparative word. What is his experience in source B? Well, he's surprised. Okay, so he's a little surprised. So that is a different feeling, isn't it? So we'll say, whereas in source B, it says strange to say he was perfectly quiet as soon as he was allowed to be free. Okay. Strange to say he was perfectly quiet as soon as, I'll save some time, put an ellipsis there, free. Okay, telling us that the writer was a little surprised at how quiet and calm the elephant was. Okay, so I guess they're kind of similar points because the elephant was not being rowdy, but the first writer, he was just simply unworried, whereas the second guy was really, he thought it was going to be dangerous. So there's a slight difference in how they perceive the elephants. Okay, so we've got our comparative word in the middle. You've got to compare. If it was the same, you'd put similarly or something equivalent. We have mentioned a method. Obviously, you could have done that for both text references, but one is enough for each point, as it were. And that's quite a short point. So I think we'll just clarify what the difference is. So the first chap, in source A, the writer was unalarmed and unconcerned about the elephant, but in B, they had expected it to be problematic or dangerous. So they are different attitudes. We've talked about the attitudes and we've shown how they are slightly different. We've mentioned language features. We've highlighted how they are different, obviously. That word highlights the difference again. So it's relatively straightforward. The difficulty with this question is doing it in the time, getting enough points in the context of the whole exam, timing it correctly as well. And a lot of people don't mention language features. Okay, so you're looking for 2 of those paragraphs at least. Ideally 3, 2 would be enough if they were pretty well written. But just to reiterate, you're looking for a comparison of feelings. Even though it says attitudes here, it's basically the same thing. It will always be around feelings on one aspect of the text. Okay, so how much time, excuse me, are we having for that question, I wonder? How much time? Okay, so 5 minutes reading time and then 20 to 25 minutes doing that question. As said, timing is crucial. Okay, you've done question 5, you've done question 4. If you've done those well, you should be feeling pretty confident. They are 70% of your marks. Plenty of students I've had have done those 2 questions well and missed complete questions out in the other parts of the exam, and they've still passed. Not recommending you do that, but that's how important these 2 are, 70%. So we've done the most significant questions as we move on. Right. What should we do next? Question 3, some people would say. That's a good shout. It's an important question. I would go for question 2 simply because it's very similar to the one you've just done. Question 2 again. You have to read both texts and compare something. It's just a lot shorter and you don't have to mention language features. Okay, so we're doing question 2, 8 marks. So you're looking at about 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes for this question. You've just read both sources, so you're probably not going to have to do a lot of reading, although you will have to scan the text again for the thing you're looking for. Now, what you will be looking for will be different from question 4. A lot of students write this the same as question 4 and get no marks basically because they think it's the same. It's not the same. It's asking you to look at something different. It says write a summary. It basically means repeating words from the text. You just pull words out from both texts and compare them. So you're looking for 2 paragraphs, but much shorter than question 4. Okay, so this one is about the behavior. Could be similar, it might not be. It's about the behavior of the elephants. Okay, so I did question 4 and I remember reading about the behavior. Obviously your test paper is going to be different, but the principle should be the same. You're looking for something to compare in both texts. Okay, now you can use the same quote in different questions as long as you write it according to the question. So question 2, let's look at the behavior of the elephant in text in source A. Okay. Right. What should we go for? So we're looking for something about the behavior. Let's just go for the same quote, okay? Just as a demonstration, you can do that in both texts, although you might not want to. So he was peaceful at some times. He was peacefully eating. Okay, so in source A, is said to be peacefully eating. And you don't necessarily have to put quotes, by the way. You can just refer to the text. As long as you use those words from the text, it's pretty obvious what you're doing. Implying that behavior, the elephant's behavior was at times peaceful and not threatening. Okay, let's compare it to something in B then. Okay, we'll choose a different quote for this one. So, not peaceful. Let's see if we can find something a bit different. Okay. Let's go for this: troublesome and dangerous. Was he being troublesome and dangerous? Not necessarily. That's how elephants are, it says. Okay, let's go for this one. He was mastered. So the elephant is being dominated, I suppose. He was mastered and uttered a cry of submission. Okay, so let's go for that. So it's similar behavior, isn't it? The elephant is not being dangerous or threatening, but it's because he's being dominated. He's mastered. So in source B, so we'll put a linking word. Similarly, the elephant in B is at times not problematic. Although this is because it has been, let's see what the word is, mastered by lying down. So it's been sort of dominated and tamed. Let's say dominated and mastered. Okay, so this is not a big question, 8 marks. All you're looking for is 2 comparative points. So we've got one there. We've talked about A, we've talked about B. We've got comparative words showing that we understand that there's a difference. Another comparative word there, actually. Let's do another point now. So in the exam, you would do another point. So 10 to 12, maybe 15 minutes if you had the time. 2 points, you're basically just taking words from the text. Source A says this, source B says this. Do it twice. So you're looking for a second point there. And that is that question done. Okay, so what have we got left? We're watching our time carefully. We go back to question 3 now. Everybody's favorite language, which means language features. So, source A, lines 26. Obviously, your paper will be different, but you can see the principles of what we're trying to do. So, 12 marks. So 15 minutes, maybe 20 if you had the time. So you've read the text probably a couple of times now. Let's have a look at the bit we're looking at. Okay, there we go. At the bottom. So there's so many language features, but there are some which are easier than others. Okay, so the easy ones, positive and negative language. Okay, descriptive language, also easy. So many to choose from. Similes are exceptionally easy. If you do know what a metaphor is, using words non-literally, that's definitely useful to have in your bag. Another very easy one to mention is imagery, which is anything that creates an image in the reader's mind, which basically is everything pretty much. So you can use that one. That's a great one, a bit harder. I'd say that's easy. I'd say that's easy, and that is exceptionally easy and can be applied to nearly every bit of writing you have. Okay, so 12 marks. We're looking for 3 paragraph points or 3 PEEs. 2 good ones would be enough. It depends how much time you've got. Okay, so let's try and find some interesting language in this section. You're trying to find something that stands out, that's a bit colourful, that evokes a reaction in the reader, that makes the reader's eyes kind of prick up, their eyebrows even, or makes their eyes light up, let's say. Good metaphor there. Right, so let's go for something easy. There's lots of stuff in here. Sea of faces. Happy and excited, very easy. Descriptive language is so easy. A puppet. I was a puppet, the writer says. He's got a big crowd in front of him and they're expecting him to kill the elephant. The crowd are kind of manipulating him with their expectations. Okay. Immense crowd. So nice descriptive language there. That's easy. Lots of things we could go for. Now, if you can't remember your language features in an exam, don't panic, because you can still get a good mark without labeling the language feature in your answer, as long as you explain it well. Okay, so let's go for an easy one. Let's go for happy and excited. Okay, so there we are, happy and excited. What language feature is that? That is positive language, that's descriptive language. Okay, now the writer uses a range of language features and uses the first technique. No, we don't need to say all that. Let's go straight into it and save time. There is positive language. We could have said descriptive language, but that's fine. Happy and excited. Which tells us how how optimistic the crowd was. Okay, so that's a really basic point. That's not at pass level yet. It's too basic. Why were they optimistic? Why were they happy and excited? They were expecting the elephant to be killed, which is a bit strange. So we need to maybe add a bit of detail there. This is arguably strange, even dark, as they are excited about the elephant being killed. Okay, now that's a nice point, but you can see by the fact that it wasn't that colourful a word how it is kind of difficult to get stuff out of things that are less colourful. Sea of Face is a bit more colourful. Let's see if we can get a bit more out of that. Happy and excited. The words imply an innocent enjoyment, or what is about to happen. So something you say, oh, I'm happy and excited. That'll be about something. Normally, things that make you happy do not involve pain for another human or an animal. So it's a bit strange. So it's kind of those words imply an innocent enjoyment of what's about to happen. So that is strange, which is the point we made. Let's pick a different one that's slightly juicier that we can get a bit more out of. And you're looking for 2 or 3. We'll just do one more. Okay, what should we go for? Puppet or Sea of Faces? Let's go for Sea of Faces. Okay. So Sea of Faces obviously is not a sea, so it's a metaphor. So the metaphor Sea of Faces tells us the crowd was like a sea. So what is a sea? This is what you've got to do. You've got to take the words that's used kind of symbolically in a simile or a metaphor and apply that to the context it's used in. So what is a sea? So he's telling us the crowd was vast, maybe unpredictable, dangerous, um, unstable. It implies you can't see the end of it. You can't see the end of the sea when you're on a boat, can you? It implies you can't see the end of the crowd. Just like the sea, if you're on a boat. So that's the whole reason he used that word. He's trying to make us visualize the crowd of faces as if it is the sea. All those things. It's vast, it's unpredictable, it's dangerous, it's unstable. So we've nailed it there with a nice observation. So the whole point is name your feature, put your quote, and then tell us several things from that quote. What do the words mean? 1, 2, 3. We could even mention the faces. It hasn't mentioned that these people have bodies. It's almost as if these are disembodied people. We've said implies, let's say it suggests the crowd are simply a large group of faces which would be a strange sight. Okay, so just to reiterate, the way you do this, name your language feature, get your quote or refer to the text. Don't worry about not putting quotes if you forget. Then tell us what it means. What do those words mean? So there's our quote and our language feature, and we've told the examiner what it means. There's our language feature and our quote, and we've told them what it means. Okay, so the explanation is the key bit. That's what you get your marks for. Okay, so another point to make is if you did a really good point, let's say this is a grade 5 point, grade 6 perhaps, and this is a grade 3, you will get a grade 6 mark for this question. So you get marked for your best point, as it were. Right, so that's the last substantive question. We've read the text a few times, so now we just pop off in the last 5 minutes and do our question 1. By this time, if you do what we've said in the rest of the paper, you should be really confident, and this is just a little bit of icing on the cake. Don't be getting stressed by this. So, true or false, all you need to do is look for those words in the text or something equivalent. Okay, it probably won't be the exact words, but there'll be, let's say, police station. It may have those words in, but not the word only. I'm not going to check it. The point is just look for those words or something similar and then get that popped off. You should not be getting stressed about question 1. Okay, just a quick skip over paper. So you start with question 5. Pre-prepare sentence starters for each paragraph. Make sure you do a plan. Make sure your introduction leads on to the middle, counter arguments, and then conclusion. Get in as many language features as you can, which you should have pre-prepared. Okay, time that carefully. Write down the time at the top when you start the exam, 40 minutes, 45 minutes maximum. Then on to question 4. Should be feeling confident. If you've done half the paper well, you should be really confident. Depends what grade you want to get, but be astonished if you do most of these things. It's almost impossible to fail. Question 4, read the question, which is basically this statement. Then read your text carefully, underlining or highlighting the feelings of the thing it's asked you for. So look for 3. You might only do 2, but look for 3 at least. Then you're going to write your answers. You're going to compare those feelings in both the texts. Make sure you highlight whether they're similar or different. And you're going to allude to a language feature in each point as many times as you can, but make sure you do refer to a language feature. Okay, on to question 2, because it's very similar to question 4. You've just read both documents, and that's what this question needs you to do. Be aware, though, it is asking about something different from question 4, not the same thing. All you're doing for this one, though, is repeating words from the text and comparing them. So in source A, it says this. In source B, it says this. Get your linking words showing that it's similar or different. and you do 2 points. 10 minutes, maybe 12 if you have time. Okay, off to question 3. Feeling more confident now. Should be feeling more confident. If you time it well and you do these things, you should be relaxing gradually. Okay, so language, the key thing here, as we've just said, is the explanation. So you find the interesting bits of language in the text. Name the language feature. As we said a moment ago, there are some easy language features and some more difficult. Obviously, there's lots and lots of them, guys, isn't there? There's, probably 15 or 20 you could learn, but there's ones that always come up, so you don't need to learn them all. I think it's a bit of a waste of revision. Just learn the most common ones, which are those well. And then the whole point is that when you label your language feature, you put your quote, you get marks for the explanation. That's what you get marks for. So if you make one observation, oh, there's a metaphor, quote, this tells us this. 2 words, that's not enough. You need to try and get several observations from that quote. I would go for at least 2, if not 3 observations from the words. So in this case here, as we said, how many things can you pull off the quote? It's a bit scruffy, never mind. Right, okay, so it's question 3 done. We're within the time. We're looking at 15 to 20 minutes for that, depending on your time. Just keep an eye on that clock. Remember, if you've done question 5 and question 4, well, okay, if you mistime any of these other ones, that's no big deal, because that's 70% of your exam, question 5 and 4. But you're looking for about 15, maybe 20 minutes maximum for this question. Then on to the final question. Simply look for these words in the text, true or false. The words won't be identical, but there'll be some keywords from each statement in the text. Right. All very manageable, isn't it? So to reiterate, timing is key. Preparation is key. If you can just remember some of these things from the tips I've gone through, loads of stuff for 5, the technique for the other questions, and you time it, it's very difficult to fail. There'll be one question or some point in the exam where you think, oh goodness, I just can't do this. I'm lost. This is why you pre-prepare all the questions. So you go strong on question 5. Has it gone? There it is. You go strong on question 5 and 4. And let's say I struggle at question 2. I'm not panicking because I've pre-prepared and I've planned that I'm going to have some moment of worry. But if you do all the questions, you should be okay. They intentionally make the text quite difficult. So there'll always be words that are hard to understand. They do that on purpose. And everybody in the exam will be stressed. You think it'll just be you, but everybody will have a moment of worry and feel lost at some point. You've just got to take some deep breaths, get back into it. And for most of these questions, just try and find some words that you do understand and try and explain them. Okay, that's me out for paper 2. I've got another video on paper 1 for 2024. I'll be releasing that soon. Good luck to everybody. And yeah, good luck with the revision. Don't get too stressed. Just try and get that intensity and raise your game. So determination eventually, in the end, is what will get you through. Okay, guys, welcome to this walkthrough of GCSE